Oh, welcome everyone in. Or welcome in everyone, should I say. Just going to quickly triple check we've got everything working as it should. Yeah, that sounds it. Welcome to a Sunday night. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Anyone watching this on YouTube after us going live, welcome, thanks for watching. But yeah, I hope everyone's had a good weekend. And we're back on artillery, Magazine War artillery. So I actually put a short out earlier, so I don't know if anyone's seen that. Hopefully give people a bit of heads up that I'm going live tonight. But again, this is going to be every Sunday night. If you can catch me live. If not, if you're watching back on YouTube, then yeah, it normally gets uploaded on the morning at some point. Hello Mark, welcome in. What a perfect way to end a weekend. Exactly. That's my thoughts. So I'm going to have another brainwave of what we're doing. So we left off last time with our artillery crew completed. So that was 6 guns and 1 HQ unit. So what we need to do is get probably all the guns painted up today, and then hopefully we can get it all stuck on the base. So last stream we got everything painted. I think in between now and last stream I said I'd get them the crew varnished up so they're ready to go, which I did earlier. I was hoping to get the guns painted, but I didn't. But that's fine because I haven't done much painting. But what I'm going to quickly do is figure out exactly what guns going with what crew, because I do have a bit of a game plan with this. Which I've explained in other streams, but I'll explain again now. We have a collection of artillery already, which I can show you. I've not got enough room. Right, so collection of artillery so far, as it stands, is 7 Confederate guns, and then we have, what's that, 8 Union guns. So I just want to put these in pairs. So, yeah, just have some matching guns. So what I'm after is 1 Confederate Napoleon for the Confederates. I need at least 1 of those guns. And then as for the Union, looks like I need a Napoleon and a Parrot. That's to make up the current set I have. So here we go. We've got, I'll put down here because my camera's away. We've got 1 Parrot, 1 Napoleon for the Confederates, and then I need a Napoleon for the Union, which could be here somewhere, although I don't think I've got any. No, I don't. That's fine. Yeah, we'll forget that for now. Right, we've got a Confederate Napoleon, got a Union Parrot. So that's 1 crew. Got 2 more. No, got 1 more Union crew. What gun should we give the Union? Well, we might as well give it this other painted Parrot gun, Parrot rifle. So that's the Confederates. And then I've got another. I've got 4 Confederate artillery crews. So I think I was going to give them some mortars. Or howitzers, sorry, should I say. So I've got some howitzers there. Although they're going to be lined up with a plastic crew, so forget that. Maybe just some of this 3-inch ordnance. Or maybe I give some Confederates some rifled guns. Parrot. Yeah, let's do that. Let's give them 2 rifled guns. So they're smaller rifle guns, but that looks cool. And then that leaves some 3-inch ordnance guns, which I can find a home for. So what I've done actually, let's quickly show off here. I've got some plastic Perry artillery crews sat here. There's 4 guns worth here, so I haven't assigned them to a side yet, but they will be. And then something I've actually done today, because I wanted to do some more. I don't know, actually. I had it in my head that I had an idea for it, but it's all changed. I've got myself mixed around today, but we've got some more crews. So again, just sort of bungling. That's a word. Chucking together what odds and sods I have of artillery crews. We've got another 2 guns, and I've realised that I've actually not got specific Rockridge artillery miniatures. And what makes them special, for anyone who doesn't know, Rockridge artillery was, I'm going to get this right, I'm pretty sure it's called Rockridge. I've had a lot to think about today, so it's gone blank. But they were an artillery crew that was assigned to Stonewall Jackson's brigade at the start of the war. It was Pendleton, I think, was their, I don't know, captain, major, I don't know, whoever was in control of the battery. The battery was 4 guns. It was named, was it John, Luke, Matthew? They were named after the those chaps in the Bible who wrote the Bible. There we go. Because he was a pastor or a vicar, the guy who ran the artillery battery. His son went on to be, I think, part of Stonewall Jackson's HQ. So yeah, you had these 4 guns, each named after the name escapes me. Someone might correct me in the live chat or maybe in the comments on YouTube. Anyway, got distracted. Really cool backstory to this artillery battery, but their not caissons, the gun carriages were painted red. So we spoke a lot of this about last time, about how you had this sort of olive green or a brown gun, the wood on the guns, whereas Rockridge artillery was red. So I've not actually got that painted up, so I thought we'll do this. So I've got a couple of guns here, which I've just pieced together as just from my bits box. And I think I'm going to paint them up as a Rockridge. And then I've got just done like a Confederate HQ set. So I've got an officer here with some binoculars. Another what looks like a corporal or a sergeant. It's got to be a sergeant because he's got a sword. So yeah, sergeant. And then a flag carrier. I forgot to put his pole on, and I've primed him now, which is a shame. So I'll have to do that at a later time. But he'll just have a flag, and I'll put him on a little HQ base. Question in the chat: the painted guns look very cool. Up close, they look not cool. They don't look very good. But thank you. From far away, maybe they look better than I think. But yeah, I'm getting there. They're not completed. I've just got to put the gun metal on them. So I'm going to put the iron, paint it. I paint it like a dark silver. I know it was black or black washed or whatever. But I'll paint them silver just because that's what I like. I use lead belcher from Citadel. What paints do you use for your minis? Good question. Very big question as well. I range from Citadel, Vallejo, or Vallejo, should I say, and Army Painter. At the moment I'm using speed paints, so again that's a mixture of all 3 and their speed paint ranges. So back to it. The original crews we painted up over the last couple of streams, they're done. I need to just do their accompanying guns, and then if we've got time, we've got 7 these 2 crew back here, plus the 4 plastic Perry's crews that are sat there. So yeah, we'll see. But these guys are going to be Rockridge. I'm going to have to Google that, just because I want to make sure I've got it right. Because it would have been embarrassing if I've said it there. Yeah, I'm going to say it is the Rockridge because, there we go, William Nelson Pendleton was their commander. And yes, he was some sort of pastor or vicar. And the guns were named Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which is quite a nice touch. I don't know. It's like one of those things you hear about and you think, that's strange. But but I think should go in anyone's collection. So, and they were £12 Napoleons, if I'm not mistaken. It doesn't say. Anyway. So I've got my 2 Napoleons here. They will be Rockridge Artillery. Because at the moment, I think my batteries... I used to do them single gun batteries. I'm starting to make them into 2 gun batteries. Hence the whole matching up whatnot. Right. So Confederate gun here. And then we've got 2 rifled guns. And then that's a gun for the Union. Basically, once the guns are done, I'm going to chuck them... The 4 Gossibles. Thank you, Mark, in the chat. I'm not so clued up on my holy book, I'm afraid. So yeah, once the guns are painted up, the artillery is ready to go. I'm going to put them on the bases, and hopefully we'll get them on the bases tonight. So yeah, back to it. Where have I left everything? I had a big move around earlier because I took some of my paint stuff downstairs. So when I have a move around, nothing survives. So yeah, going back to same as last stream, my gun carriages will be painted a Fire Drake. Well, you are one of the Gossibles, so I'm surprised. Yes, I guess I just forgot about that bit. I've lived a long life, I guess. So yeah, we'll get some paint on these chaps. Get a dirty brush and just get it on there. I never like painting these gun carriages. They're always a pain. Just because they're so fiddly. Especially now where I've primed them white rather than my old style of priming them grey. If you miss a bit, it just stands out more. But yeah, once these gun carriages are painted, I'll go in, hit them with a lead belcher, which is like a dark silver, and then probably chuck a Nuln wash over the top of that, which is a black wash. And that'll just dull it down a bit, blend it in. And I would go as far as calling that quits. And that'll be it for the guns. So fairly quick. And then once these guns are painted, it will be on to the remaining crew. So the latest crew that I built up today for the Rockridge Artillery, I didn't actually... So I found some metal sculpts of guys pushing wheels. So I pieced them together, but I didn't have any £12 Napoleon barrels. But luckily in my bits box, I had a few leftover sprues with £12 from Perry's. So they're metal sculpts of the bodies, but they're plastic barrels from Perry's. Tim, welcome in. You have made it. You're on the right stream. I can confirm. You are live. Hello. Coming in loud and clear, Tim. Exactly. We got you. We got you this time. You're in. Welcome in. We I'm just working on some gun carriages now. All the crew we've been painting over the last couple of weeks are done and varnished, ready to go on their bases. The reason why they're not on the bases yet, because I like putting the guns down first, and then I put the crew around the guns in their places they should stand. So yeah, but should be fairly quick. Should be fairly quick to do this. The fiddly bit's going to be the metals, because there's just lots of little rivet panel like plates and stuff. You said that last week, but what? You got me there. I don't know. We can talk about some. I was going to say, let's talk about something in the news that's relevant, but there's not a lot of nice stuff going on in the news at the moment. So, I've just been talking, Jim, about I've got some models here which I'm going to do my own little Rockridge Artillery. So they're next on the painting block once I've got these guns painted. So I need 6 guns in total, so I've got 2 painted from last stream, sort of painted, more or less. So I'm going to paint up another 4, and then we'll probably get them glued on the bases with their crew. and then we'll start afresh. I think I might just stick with the 3 strips. I'll do 2 guns and 1 HQ next, rather than doing loads of crew. Because yeah, I do have those 4 plastic Perry crew kits ready to go, primed, but just completions in it. We'll I think you've probably got enough cannons. Have you tried printing Studio Historia cannons? Thank you, Tim. I have enough cannons, true. No, I haven't tried printing them yet. I will at some point, because they got some really nice poses and sculpts and whatnot. But at the moment, I'm not adding anything to my collection because I have so much unpainted. This is where this project of painting artilleries come in, really. Was the fact that I've been away from painting for so long. I just kind of recently was like, you know what, I want to get through my backlog. I want to get back into painting. And I saw this as an easy way of getting back in, because artillery's a smaller unit. You can get more completed, you know, get more of that satisfaction of getting a gun battery completed or whatever. Can you never really have enough cannons? Ask James Longstreet at the Battle of Gettysburg. I think he will tell you, no, you can never have enough. Although, I think he had the cannons, he just didn't have the ammunition. Google Pickett's charge, if you want any more context. So yeah, did like a grand battery, a divisional sized battery, or corps. It was actually corps, I guess, wasn't it? It was Longstreet's corps at the time at Gettysburg. And they were on the during Pickett's charge, which is the oh my gosh, 3rd day, I'm gonna say. They charged the Union Centre. After the last couple of days, they've been applying pressure on the either wing of the army. They decided to send Pickett's division up the centre. So Longstreet had his whole corps artillery to just blast the living shite out of the Union lines to soften them up, and it just supposedly was not very effective. I don't think that was the reason for the failure of Pickett's charge. I think it was a doomed venture. But yeah, maybe if you had more artillery, could have made a difference. Well, you could put anything in a cannon. If I've learned anything from Pirates of the Caribbean, yeah, you're right. What's the game? Sea of Thieves, where you can load yourself into a cannon. I need advice. I'm painting some Confederates in frock coats in butternut. I'm sure I've seen some images or figures painted this way, but unsure what regiment. Frock coats is an interesting one, because I've experienced, especially on Facebook, where people will be like, no, Confederates don't have frock coats, blah, blah, blah. But I would argue, one, Confederates take what they get. They, you know, they'll loot and take what uniform they get. Now, 2 thoughts of this. I wouldn't. I would paint them up how I wanted, because they're mine. So yeah, I would have no problem painting up frock coats in butternut. However, if you're really wanting to go for a historic flavour, then I probably can't think of a regiment off the top of my head. Now, when it comes to Antietam, oh, actually, I'm thinking of Gettysburg. Yeah, I was going to say, if it was Gettysburg or something like that, not Gettysburg, Fredericksburg. If it was Fredericksburg, then I think you could get away with frock coats because it was colder, right? Whereas Antietam, probably not so much. But yeah, no regiment screens. Maybe earlier, France. Yeah, they did. Yeah, exactly. I think it's so easy in this hobby, or this war. Yeah, especially the Confederates. I think you can get away with most things. But yeah, I can't help, I'm afraid. If you want a specific regiment, there's none I can think of that that springs to mind. Hello, Thomas. Welcome in. Looking about currently going between painting my dismount Union Cavalry Gambles Cavalry Brigade, nice, and me Mahaz. I can never pronounce his name. Of the Irish Brigade, nice. Got a big campaign coming up. I finished second New York light artillery, nice one. Well, we're doing artillery, so nice. I haven't actually named any of my artilleries really. They're just generic artilleries. So yeah. First Texan and other members, Hoods, Texan Brigade, War Frock Coats. Ah, thank you very much, Thomas. There we go. First Texan. Now I look silly for not having my First Texas in frock coats. They're probably in... I don't know. Yeah, it depends which one are my First Texas, actually, because some of my Confederate regiments, I use the Perry's ACW infantry box set, so the one that's sort of a in-betweeny box set, and they've got frock coats. Got a mix of sack and frock coats. I know like people like saying that the Union tend to wear sack coats. Frocks, sorry. But again, I'm down for whatever. I think the Confederates would quite often get what they can on the battlefield and die it. So I've done 2nd New York Light Artillery because my ancestors was a major of the 2nd New York Light Artillery Battalion, part of the Irish Brigade. That is very cool. That is yeah, fair play to any people with American Civil War ancestors, because yeah, if you really like this hobby, you got something you can kind of call back to, which is cool, and honor family in that way. But yeah, going back to the yeah, I firmly believe that the Confederates would just get what uniforms they can and dye them, use them. And again, if you went early war, if you wanted to be historically accurate, you could find out. But if not, if you were just doing a generic regiment, you'd have no yeah, if it was early war, I would say you could get away with having a Union infantry regiment in something that's not necessarily linked to that army, because, for example, First Manassas, there was everything there. You had the militia groups in grey. Am I right in thinking that during the American or pre-war, militias tended to wear a grey? Am I right in thinking that? They preferred a grey uniform, so that's why you had some of these like early Union militias or early Union regiments that were militias coming in, and they were in grey and stuff. Or Confederates the other way around in blue. I know it's slightly different, but you had the Wheats Tigers, so Louisiana Tigers in blue at First Manassas, I believe. So I think there's reports of them getting shot at by other Confederates because they're in blue uniform. Unless I'm confusing the two different regiments, but I think that's why they dyed their jackets like a brown. So when you look at the Wheats Tigers, if you ever look them up online, you get conflicting uniforms. You get like a brown jacket with your striped trousers or striped Zouave pants for you Yanks, or you get ones where they're wearing a blue jacket. And I think it's because after the First Manassas, they dyed them all brown because Union blue. You both got... Oh, Mark's got ancestors as well. Wow. Not the fact that you've got ancestors is impressive, but you got ancestors that were in associated with the Mexican War. That's cool. died. Yeah, I think they would die on the run, right? They might just die when they're on campaign. They get what they can, and which is another cool thing with the butternut die is you can as a collector, someone collecting miniatures, you've got that license to change up your dyes or colours of butternut, so you can have like a unit wearing butternut but lots of different shades and stuff, and it just breaks that block up, make them look a bit more unique. It's like uniformity with or through lack of uniform. I know what I'm trying to say, that's all that matters. I know what I'm saying. Yeah, they black trim is something I remember from some of the Texas a lot. I've not really gone that deep into my uniforms. I did with is it 10th Tennessee or something like that, with they had the red facings. I did that because at the time I was looking in, like learning about them, and I was like, oh, that's cool having different standout units with different facings. But yeah, I think I've seen, maybe it's through media, I'm seeing, yeah, the Texas Brigade having black cuffs, which is cool. And again, with anything with like tabletop, historical tabletop, is as a person painting and collecting, you go as far as you want, I think. You know, I could probably go a lot more in depth than I do, but I'm just enjoying myself. That's what matters. Right. Just these lots of little spindles on the wheels is a pain. I don't like doing it. But yeah, these speed paints just speeds everything up. Literally, it's in the name. Because yeah, I used to paint them brown and then come back in and wash them, and yeah, the same effect here. Okay, so I can't remember what I'm doing. Here we go. So occasional grey and blue kepi, although sold them a few years ago, then started up again my Confederates project in Hill's Light Division after Harper's Ferry, so lots of US uniforms mixed in. Very cool. Something I'd really like to do as a project at some point is doing sort of First Manassas or something like that. So I'm just going to town with lots of these really unique regiments. I mean, I've got the Louisiana Tigers technically, and I want to do the Fire Zouaves. Not done them yet, but yeah, going like First Manassas and just having all these sort of militia volunteers regiments coming in, just stand out and look really cool. So maybe one day, Do I have any, Mark says, do I have any cannonballs, stacks, or anything to accompany the cannons? No. So, let me show you. I didn't do this purely because this is the wrong box. When I first started collecting with my Mag Civil War, I was like, I'm going to build a cannon, I'm going to have a cannon. Now, with the Perrys, plastic kits, you get the artillery caisson, which is a box towed by horses with the artillery piece. It's a company piece, and that's where all your ammunition is stored. So I'll show you. So technically, I should be modelling this as well. So as part of the drill, you'll have this caisson that behind the cannon out the way, and you'll have a runner who will go over, pick up a shell, you know, timed or whatever shell you want, pick it up and then run it back to the gun, and then they load it. So here's the set from Perry's. So basically it's just a box on wheels with a limber for the horses, basically. So yeah, I should really kind of have them accompanying the artillery, but if you had that on the table as well, I think it would get a bit much. And at the time, I don't know, I was just like, nah, I don't really want to do that. And it's only recently I thought actually it'd be cool to have these caissons on the battlefield with the guns, just to make it look a bit more cinematic on the table. So yeah, I'd love to do first ball run, although can't find anyone who sells the Prince of Wales flag for the 69th New York State Militia. I've not thought of that. Different flags, early war. Talking Confederates, I would like the early war more, just because, like, do you know the Army of Northern Virginia flag, which is the stereotypical Confederate flag that everyone looks at and goes, oh, Confederate flag, is technically, for the majority of the Confederate states, it's not a national flag. It's the flag of the Army of Northern Virginia, designed by PGT Beauregard, I believe. So yeah, it's nice to have more of these sort of national flags rather than just the Army of Northern Virginia. So, which I think you'll probably see more early war, perhaps, because that Army of Northern Virginia flag probably didn't come in straight away. So yeah, that's what I want to do now with my Confederates, is start putting more national flags in rather than army flags. So, for example, like HQ flags, Lee's HQ flag is not the Army of the Northern Virginia Cross, it's the Confederate Stars and Bars, and then you've got Longstreet's HQ flag, stuff like that. So, yeah. Right, we need a black now. Stars and Bars rather than Stars and Crosses. Exactly. Right, let's get some black on these guns. I'm painting my Napoleons black because a little painting tip I got off Paul Richards' YouTube channel, where he, I think it was actually ACW, but he paints them black and then dry brushes them with a gold, and it just it looks nice. So that's what I'm going to do here. Some of these might need 2 coats. This is an old gun from the other night. Again, the Parrot rifles are black anyway. Cast iron. Is it cast iron? Anyway. Whereas the Napoleons were mainly bronze, brass, whatever, bronze. I think maybe late war you ended up having cast iron Napoleons from the Confederacy. But yeah. For now. Any tips painting trousers? The Louisiana, love the uniform, but I can't do it justice, of the Louisiana Tigers. Any tips? No. Detail. Yeah, it's just I didn't do as fine a stripe on mine. I did them quite big. One, because that's not super accurate. However, it's hobbying. It's on the tabletop. You know, you want to see more obvious details. You know, if you were to do actual uniform accuracy on the Wheat's Louisiana Tigers, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell the stripes at 28mm. So what I did was, I did a white base. So I think I actually used Apothecary White, I think, which is from the Citadel contrast range, I believe. Did that, and then I just went in with the brush and just done stripes, basically. So it was a pain, but yeah, that's what I did. So no tips really, apart from paint thin lines. For my brass/bronze guns, I mix a little black into my metallic paint. Just to bring it down slightly. That's good. Good idea. Again, I think like having those bronze guns just gives something nice to look at on the table as well. Just have something to stand out a bit, which is always good. I reckon. I think I'm using the wrong black, which is good. With the Citadel black contrast, one of them sort of goes a bit greeny, whereas the other one's a bit more of a true black. You've got Abaddon black and Black Templars. And I can never remember which one's which, and I always mix them up. So, but just to get some colour on the pieces. The guns, yeah. Do that on this last one here. Which is a Confederate Napoleon. Or what looks like a Confederate. Oh, so that must be the. No, I don't know. Right. I don't know where that bit doesn't colour in, but cool. So that's 6 guns. That is 6 guns, more or less semi-painted. So what's everyone else working on tonight? If we are hobbying at all, or are we just listening to me waffle? Yeah, so Tim, with the Zouave Tigers, it's interesting, or the Wheats Tigers, Wheat Special Louisiana Battalion, whatever they called it. Yeah, I've seen straw hats. So I think when you see them in soft fezzes, Zouave jackets in blue, I think that is pre First Manassas and First Manassas, and then I think more or less right after First. So I think during the Battle of First Manassas, they came under heavy friendly fire from another Confederate unit because they were wearing blue. So I think they died. So Thomas has just put in the chat, they dyed them brown, sort of sharp after the battle. And then I think, like anything, like especially with Zouave units having these really fancy uniforms, and supposedly these uniforms were for dress more than campaigns. So you found they really quickly wore out and fell apart, and then you found they weren't easily replaceable. So I think that's when you start getting these variations come in. Maybe that's where the straw hats come from. When I was researching and I was doing stuff about my Wheats Tigers, I never really came across the straw hats. It's only recently, I say recently, only afterwards, then I noticed that, yeah, there's a lot of artwork with them in straw hats. And I'm wondering if that's because they replace the fez because the straw hats are easier to get hold of. I don't know. That's my guess. But yeah, as for the blue jackets, they would dye brown. So yeah, that's why you see them in brown. Like a lot of stuff I've seen people painting up Zouaves. They're the Louisiana Tigers. They're in brown jackets and straw hats. So I think that's my take on it. But yeah, I've painted mine in soft fezzes and blue jackets. Blue tassels and red tassels. I think I painted mine in red tassels. Again, it might be just variation. It's hard. Yeah, it's really hard to tell with certain units, certain uniforms. It's a bit like you're looking at, like, for example, the Iron Brigade, trying to look at the Iron Brigade when their uniform changed quite a lot through the war. I say quite a lot. a fair bit. For example, they had their gaiters on their boots. They're sort of white dress gaiters. Now they went fairly quick, I think. Again, through the fact that they would wear out on campaign and they're not easily replaced. And then you have something like the 24th Michigan coming in, not wearing... Did I see your wheat tigers in there? Let me have a look. Right, let me check now. I think I've missed a photo. I'm guessing this was from your Sharks practice game. Some Union Zouaves. Oh yeah, I can see them there. So one's got a... You put a straw hat on some of them, is that right? Yeah, nice. Oh, and you've done a mix of brown jackets as well. Yeah, good. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I think if I were to do another unit of Zouaves, if I were to redo the Tigers, I think I would possibly do brown jackets, purely because a lot of Zouaves during the war had blue jackets, and it's nice to pick units that just stand out a bit more. So that's what I think, in my opinion. Yeah, and it's just finding that flavour. I like having those unusual units on the table and just make the game look a bit brighter. Although I'm not really playing much games, so there's never really a table to have units on. But when I do play, I'm bringing Zouaves. That's why I've got like, well, I purchased some models off a mate a few years back, and they had a load of Zouaves, so I was like, do you know what, I'm going to just rattle through and paint a load of Zouaves. I put it on the YouTube channel, it's all up on there. And that was, yeah, I think 4 Zouave units I did, and I basically just went through and looked at loads of popular Zouave or more famous Zouaves units and just picked the colourful ones, really. Alright, let me have a look, Tim. Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, so you got some straw hats, brown jackets, blue jackets. Yeah, very nice. Oh yeah, no, the stripe looks good actually. What you've done with the stripes, I think I would. It's better, neater than my ones, I must admit. Yeah, no, very good. Right, I need to finish these guns. I just don't want to paint them else. Too much of a pain. Too much of a pain. Maybe I just move on to this Confederate Artillery HQ for now. I need to find a post. I only have 2 Zouave units, Wheats and Coppins. Both Louisiana. Yeah, nice first. Yeah, very nice. I haven't done the Coppins Zouaves yet, or Coppins. I can never pronounce it. I haven't done that yet, but I think I will at some point, whenever I'm doing Zouaves again. So at the moment, on the painting table, I've got the 14th Brooklyn Zouaves, which is from the Warlord box set that I reviewed a very long time ago. I still haven't finished them. They've just sat there collecting dust. And then it was the, I want to say the 11th Indiana, who wear the same uniform as 14th Brooklyn, more or less, but they're in all grey. And they look quite cool, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to do that. Because I think at the time I had a metal set, and then Warlord released the resin set, so yeah, I bought both. Let's just get some paint on these guys a minute. So they are Confederate. Oh no, he's not a Confederate. He's a Union officer. He's got shoulder bars. That's annoying. Well, it's not really annoying. I can just paint them up as Union, I guess. Yeah, sod it. Let's paint them up as Union. I'll have to... The Confederate HQ will have to wait a bit longer. So I can find my paints. Silly me. Only thing about COVID, yeah, is identical to Zouave units. I tend to use my Warlord Zouaves as the Zouaves of the 69th Pennsylvania Company K&I green coated Zouaves. Yeah, early war officers bars are okay. That's a bit of flavour, isn't it, actually? Yeah, I could just do that and have it as an early war HQ. What do you reckon? Do you reckon I should still put them in a grey jacket, or should I put them in a Union blue jacket, though? I could put them in a Union blue jacket. But then I've seen some... Yeah. I've seen some Confederate, like, maybe just from media, where they're in, like, a grey jacket, but with bars on. So I don't know when they brought in the collar insignia stuff for the Confederates. I don't know when that came in. Now this is puzzling. What do I do? Oh, I'm too indecisive. I've got a Union officer, ultimately. It'd be nice to have a Confederate. Right, let's do him in all grey, and I'm going to do his shoulder bars. Why not? In fact, I'm pretty sure Lee from Battle Bunker has some Confederates with shoulder bars. I think I remember seeing them. One of these Confederates will have some button up. I really like, so I'm at the moment Union blue jacket, and say he got a field promotion and stole a Union officer jacket. Yeah. Yeah. Some arty had red kepi and some had red band on the kepi. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a red kepi in total. So yeah, a lot of my artillery crew I've been giving even red kepis or red bands. So I've been chucking that in there. I haven't done it with any of my recent stuff, to be honest. I've tried to go for red piping on the coats. I think I'm just going to give him shoulder bars on a grey jacket. Sod it. Yeah, it's going to look nice. I really like the shoulder bars. I do like the shoulder bars. Yeah, it's a shame the Confederates didn't have it. They were doing their own thing, setting their own trends, fashion. Although they're like difference between a colonel and a brigadier or divisional, a major general was just the fact that there was a reef around it, right? It was still 3 stars, just. So Confederate Brigade came in really early in the war, almost immediately following Bull Run, although some Confederates did wear shoulder bars up until 1862. Thank you, Thomas, that's very informative, and it's made my decision that I'm going to go grey. I'm going to go grey with shoulder bars. It's going to look cool. Excited already. Why not? Why not have? I'm going back to the It's My models. He's an artillery officer as well. I was going to say he's fancy. He's not a cavalry officer, though. They're probably going to be more swish. But he's a no-nonsense artillery officer. He's just been, or he's just about to get called up for having non-regulation uniform. My Union artillery have red cappies and stripes on their trousers. Confederate artillery, mostly in slouch hats. Ones in kepi have a red band or grey or button-up cappies. Yeah, I think some of my Union I've done red stripes on the trousers as well. That looks again. I'm thinking a bit more of what looks nice on a table, and having those unit identification colours I think just looks nice. I think I did it with my Confederate cavalry. I've done them quite yellow, but I just wanted those colours coming through on the table. Just looks smart in my opinion. Sorry, Mark, I've just realised I've ignored your thing earlier on when you replied saying you're just chilling, and that's nice. I am chilling also whilst painting, which is nice. So his jacket is open breast at the moment. So I wonder what I'm going to do the waistcoat. Not Jeb Stewart. Wouldn't be hard to find him on the battlefield. Yeah, you're right. Very flash. Oh, he's a cavalry. Cavalier. That's what he's about, isn't it? Going off making a name for himself and leaving the Army of Northern Virginia in the lurch. In the middle of Pennsylvania. All good, budget locked in. Yeah, I am just trying to... Just painting. Just painting. Although I'm making this guy a Confederate now, he would have been a cool Union officer. I think I've got another one of these sculpts actually kicking around, so now I'm using them for sort of unit HQ bases. I could probably make another one for a Union. Right, I'm gonna give him a grey waistcoat, I think, as well. There's a shirt just peeking through, so I think I'll make that white. And then his kepi will be red. He was probably up there in his class at West Point. Maybe he was a teacher, a bit like Jackson wore his blue jacket. His shoulder bars it. I'm stating this like a fact. I don't know. It was in Gods and Generals, but he wore it at the Battle of First Manassas. His Union officer wear. Whereas I'm saying that, I'm guessing by the time he got to First Manassas, he was probably in maybe Confederate uniform. For anyone who wants to do an AP Hill, I recommend using Perry's Confederate Brigade deal. His iconic red shirt he was known for wearing can be seen under the shell jacket. The mini is like Stuart. I'll have to check that out. I can't think of what sculpture I'm on about. I've got a... Oh wait, is it just there? I think I've got the Perry's AP Hill anyway. Because I think I painted him in a red shirt. I would paint him in a red shirt, I think. There's always rumours of whether he wore it at Gettysburg or not. But again, rule of cool. I want to put him in a red shirt. Again, it just makes him stand out on the table, I think. I believe Jackson wore the blue jacket and shoulder bars up until the start of the Valley campaign. Thank you. There we go. I can't think who they... Was it Jeb Stewart who sent him a uniform? I can't remember now. One of the other generals sent him like a really smart uniform. So I think in Gods and Generals, when you see him take on that sort of blue uniform, like the real pale light blue Confederate uniform, I think someone gave it to him. I have a feeling it was Jeb Stewart. I might be wrong. My Mag Civil War knowledge is rubbish recently because strayed too far from it. Right. So this sculpt here, this chap's wearing a frock coat. So I wonder if I just give him a blue frock coat. I didn't know Perry made an AP Hill model. I was going to do a full red shirt, but my initial model ended up looking more like a Western cowboy than a general, so I had to change. I might be wrong on the AP Hill. I'm sure I've got an AP Hill sculpt, and I can't think where it came from. I'll have to dig it out at some point. Oh, let's just give him a grey cappy. Just an aide-de-camp working with the Confederate artillery commander. Not sure what rank he is. Yeah. It's quite a nice pet. Again, I don't know where these sculpts are from. They're just a big collection I've got. Yes, it was Stuart, sent via Heroes von Brock, a Prussian observer. Yeah, so cool little standard bearer. This guy's a sergeant with a sword on his side, and this guy's just got his binoculars out. No sword, no sash, so maybe he's not a big ruling general. Yeah, I might give this guy a Union jacket, actually. This frock coat. He's on a base with the Confederate, so it's fine. Oh, it's 9 o'clock already. Bing, bang, boom. Let's give him a grey cappy though. Though he's going to have a Union jacket on. He's a Confederate. I don't know what flag I'm going to give him yet. I'm not sure. Could just be a stars and bars of the Confederacy. Who knows? Could just give him a flag for Longstreet. Who knows? Alright, let me get my blue out. And what I'm using. Actually, we'll do this button up first. I really like this, so I'm using Agaros Dunes for my button up. Comes across quite yellow, but again, I think for just standing out on the table, it works, I think. I think it works. again with like my older painting scheme, I went a lot darker for butternut. I think now my models to pop on the table a bit, so having those brighter colours I think's fine. It's allowed. Confederate artillery, I tried to give them smaller cavalry styled flags. For Union, I buy artillery flags from G&B. So I do have an artillery flag for the Union. I'll have to. I can't remember who it's for now. It might have been a Carolina artillery unit. I don't know now. So I used it for my. In fact, yeah, I'm not sure. It might have been one of the heavy artilleries. A yellow flag with sort of an artillery piece cross in it. There's somewhere. So yeah, I could actually give that to my Union artillery. As for the Confederate artillery, I don't know yet. I don't know, just a national flag, I think. But yeah, G&B is great. Yeah, I do like G&B. Or Flags of War, they're my other ones. Recently, I've been trying to use the Studio Historia release some with their set, so I've got some printed. You're using Skeleton Horde for your butternut. Yeah, that would I'd give a lighter butternut, definitely. I find that using a few different butternuts make the butternut and grey horde a lot more varied. 100% true. Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. But for me, it's a lot slower to do that. If you're going in and doing a lot more, which again, it's all down to painting preference. My painting preference is just, you know, chill out and rattle through it, and that's why I've chosen to just go with this one butternut colour rather than doing lots of choices. But yeah, if I wanted to spend more time on it, then yeah, I would do a good couple. I've done it on my old paint when I was painting them on my old paint scheme. I did do it. Use different bases and use different base colours and different washes just to change the butternut up. But at the moment, I'm all about just getting the miniatures painted. Get the grey pile of shame whittled down. It might be the first main heavy artillery. That rings a bell. I think you could be right there, Thomas. You could be right. I know I've got them somewhere. I'm just not in a position to dig them out quite yet. Yeah, I know a lot of heavy artillery got shifted into when Grant started his campaign against Lee. I know he basically ripped all the heavy artillery units out of their fortifications and made them into infantry units to bolster his numbers. Which would actually be another little cool. If you want to get those cool units on the table, do some heavy artillery infantry. And again, those flags, like the flag I've got, is like yellow, bright yellow flag, so it'd be quite cool having that on the battlefield. Again, that's why I sort of looked at the Irish Brigade when I did, it was just having these cool green flags on the table. Just makes them stand out a bit. It's what attracts me to sort of Napoleonic wargaming as well. Just having those different colour flags. I just like a nice, colourful, nice looking table. And I think you can achieve that in the American Civil War by unit variation. For example, the likes of the Zouaves. Foreign units as well. So like Highlanders, it'd be really cool to do for ages. I wanted to buy a Highlander unit, but I guess see at the 79th Highlanders, 79th New York, sorry. They're a Highlander regiment, but I think they were only a 3-month regiment, so I think they fought in First Manassas, and that was it. Just goes to show all those eager people signing up at the start of the war. Once they saw the elephant, they could have got out, because then it was shifting to sort of like 9-month. I think what the term's called. But yeah, contracts or whatever, or then into multiple years. I've considered doing Cochrane's Legion, although no one does the green flags for the Irish Legion. I've done the Irish Brigade because I'm Irish and I have a connection to the Irish Brigade. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I've realised I've just skipped past a load. I have a lot of variety in most of my rebs, but I also want some reg to have a more uniformed look. 100%. Yeah, I do. I've done that with my... I did a brigade a while back where I just had loads of Perry miniatures, so I basically batch painted them in like 5 regiments in one go. So they're all painted the same, basically. But I'm happy with it. I batch things, so in one sitting, brackets about 2 hours, I can knock out maybe 30 Confederates, but at the same time, I can knock out 45 to 50 Unions. I used to do it when I was really into my painting, really into just knuckling down and getting on with it. Yeah, I've done big batching. I think I've done, yeah, what's that, 5 regiments? That's 24 men a regiment. I don't want to do the maths. But yeah, I've done that in what, like in, I say one sitting, but you know, just chugged through that. But it was a killer. Yeah, it was a killer. We're going back to the Irish connection. So what's Cochrane's Legion? Is that the... It's not the Confederates, are they? I don't know. Yeah, that's the problem with finding these sort of more peculiar regiments. If you want to get their flags right, which I personally would want to do, sometimes it's a pain to get hold of them. Yes, the 79th were a 3-year regiment, served a Bull Run, Peninsula, second Bull Run. So 79th were the Highlanders. Did they lose their uniform, though, after First Manassas? I thought the Highlanders, who wore like the Glengarry caps and the tartan trousers, I thought they were only a 3-month regiment. But I can be wrong. I often am. I just chucked some red down on this officer here where he's got his sergeant stripes. I've actually done one of my Confederates. I didn't do that. I didn't paint his sergeant stripes. I've just painted over them in grey. So whether I go back and do that or I just leave it for now, I don't know. This guy's getting them, mate. So he's got his red. My officer's shoulder bars need to be red, and so does his kepi. So I'll do is he can have a red kepi. So I really want to get PGT Beauregard painted up. I've got a metal sculpt of him from somewhere. And then I've got Studio Historia. I think I've printed him off now for Studio Historia, because they've got sculpts for him. So it'd be nice to get him painted up with his red cappy. I always feel like the best generals were artillery officers. Just saying. They lost their tartan trews after Bull Run, mostly reserved for recruitment duty in New York. In camp and on campaign, on campaign they did often wear the Glengarry. Right. Well, there we go. So I kind of thought they disappeared. But yeah, it turns out it's just mostly their uniform that disappeared. They stuck around. That's cool. Right, I'm just chucking some paint on this artillery piece. My rock ridge. And then we'll go back and finish these guns. Get in and paint the metal. Going red. This one had a bit of a wonky wheel. Let's straighten out. The only thing I noticed with these metal casting ones, the wheels could be a bit wobbly. That's not a problem. The officers did often wear the tartan trews after Bull Run. Yeah. Cochrane's Legion was another Union Irish brigade. Sorry, Cochrane was the colonel of the 69th New York at Bull Run. He was captured, then paroled. His legion saw little action until late. Oh, that is news to me, so I might have to do some research into that. It's cool. Again, it's nice having those Irish units. Purely for the flags, but yeah, like I said, if you're struggling to get them. Do you know what their flags were, though? Did they have just green harp flags? Like other Irish regiments? Because you could just buy more of the 69th New York or whatever, or any of the Irish brigade. Just buy some of theirs and either just draw over their units number, repaint it or something. I'm a bit tired of painting artillery casings in it. But yeah, I've wanted to do the 79th at some point. Must admit. So again, if you can get away and have those some tartan trousers, it'd be a pig to paint, I imagine, but it would look good on the battlefield. So. Remember, I painted up some Napoleonic Highlanders once, and it was a pain to paint the tartan. I should have just not bothered with the tartan, but I wanted to give it a go. Especially Highlanders, they're just so iconic in any war they partake in. Right, that's one red gun for the Rockridge Artillery. Their flags were much more elaborate than the Irish Brigade flags, really decorated. The 155th New York's flag is really beautiful. So what regiments made up the Cochrane's Legion? I'm going to make an assumption that it was mainly New York. If my group did Bull Run, I said I'd take Sherman's brigade because I have Scottish and Irish family, so both regiments in one brigade. Nice. I don't know what I'd want to go take. What unit I'd take at Bull Run. I think my gut says Longstreet. My heart says Longstreet. I've got a soft spot for James Longstreet. But I mean, Jackson's in the thick of it. B's in the thick of it. Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. Yeah. Put in the chat what you what regiment or brigade you would want to take it Bull Run. And if you're watching this on YouTube, put your thoughts in the comments and why you'd want to do it. I think I would go Longstreet, but yeah, I think if you wanted a brawl, and obviously I'm favouring Confederates, but you don't have to. I think if you wanted a brawl somewhere like around Henry House Hill, Sherman was on there, right? That was just a big fight going on there. Yeah, you get the Stonewall Brigade, or soon to be known the Stonewall Brigade, fighting like a lot there. Oh, there's another name of a chap as well. I can't think of his name. Confederate general, or I don't know if he was a general at the time. Actually, he might have been a colonel. Let's do my homework. So the units of Cochrane's Legion is the 182nd, 155th, 164th, and the 170th New York Volunteer Infantry. The 175th New York Infantry was supposed to join, but never joined the Legion as the war ended. Oh, okay. Hancock. That's a good shout, Tim. Hancock. Why? What's your reasoning behind Hancock, apart from Hancock just being a bit of a badass? God, I'm missing so much of the carriage here. He was a fighting general. I mean, that's why he was given command of the field at Gettysburg, right? Before Meade got there. Well, there's a Doubleday who basically refused it. Doubleday wasn't happy about it. But we know we can rely on Hancock. Right, that's these gun carriages sorted. Just need their crews. If I had to serve under any general during the Civil War, give me the one-armed Irishman, Major General Philip Kearny. Yeah. I mean, Kearny was at... oh, hi God, this is testing my knowledge now. Was Kearny at 2nd Manassas? Yeah, I think it is who I'm thinking of. Good fighter, yeah. Reynolds as well. Reynolds is a... Yeah. I do like Reynolds. Hancock was called the Superb for a reason. Yeah. Reynolds refused because he was guaranteed for Washington staying out. Reynolds was young as well. He was in his prime, taken too soon. Reynolds was, yeah. Yeah, second Manassas, killed shortly after Chantilly. Yeah, I remember. I remember looking into second Manassas, and yeah, Carney's men was rock solid in memory. I might do that a little bit red though. Yeah, Carney's a good shout. Hancock's a very good shout. Yeah, I'm not sure who, but being first, purely focusing on first Manassas, yeah, there's some interesting ones. I guess there's also, I don't know. Trying to think of like the big moment in first Manassas that you could do a what if moment, but I wish I knew more lore enough to choose one. Oh mate, just pick a name. No googling. Just say a name out loud, and we can just confirm whether it's true or not. Probably a name with it. Yes, there's again, early war's always a bit fun as well, because you've got all the household names. The ghost of Stonewall Jackson. Yeah, Jackson's a good shout, mate. Jackson was at Manassas. That's where he got his name, Stonewall Jackson. So, yeah, like late war, you get all the big house names. You know, like Sherman, Jeb, Longstreet, Stonewall, just to name a few. But yeah, like when you go back to like First Manassas, they're all there leading brigades or regiments. So it's like you have all the big names in like one battle. I think that's just quite cool. And then they go on to become who they are. You serve at the under. Is it Mahar? Mahar, I think they call it. Spelt meager, but pronounced Mahar. You'd serve under them at First Manassas, only a captain, and formed the command of the Union rearguard. For Confederates, it would be Nathan Shanks Evans and his Evans is who I was thinking of. Thank you. The Demi Brigade, yeah. Evan, who I was thinking of earlier, because he was spoiling for a fight, wasn't he? An aggressive commander. Pronounced Ma. Thank you very much. Yeah, am I right in thinking that Evans wanted to go after the Union Army at First Manassas, but he was kind of told no? Am I right thinking that? You told me the pronunciation an hours ago. Oh, sorry. I'll say it wrong again later, don't worry. Yeah, I'll be asking you how to pronounce it again in a bit. Hello, guys. Going on. Defending the stone bridge, yeah, with the Wheats Tigers. Evans fired the first shot to Bull Run. He really wanted to run the Union back to Washington, but Beauregard and Johnson didn't let him. That's the American Civil War, isn't it? Although, I mean, I don't think, is he going to realistically charge into Washington? Am I right in thinking Johnson wanted to go after him? But yeah, but Beauregard ultimately. I guess it's hindsight's 2020, but you look at a lot of moments in the American Civil War, and you were like, if they just weren't that hesitant and they just seized a bit more, they could have done so much more. But then I think at the time when you're commanding a big army, and especially with Manassas, when everyone was confused and scattered after the battle, these generals just all felt everything was a lot more fragile than it was, or maybe it was just more fragile than we understand it today. So, or I understand it. So yeah, they just didn't want to risk anything. They wanted to keep their army together. Yeah. Also, Thomas, to go off your point, Johnson did want to pursue, but Beauregard and Davis were reluctant to make themselves look like aggressor. Maybe fair. Well, yeah, I'll say maybe fair point on their behalf, but also Davis didn't like Johnson, so maybe it was a bit of that, wasn't it? Maybe there was a bit of Johnson came out with an idea and Davis just shot it down purely because. I think that's one of maybe the mistakes of the Confederacy. Was sort of. I'm right in thinking Davis was basically Davis sort of oversaw a lot of the military stuff because he was ex-military, wasn't he, Davis? But I just don't think he was the best person to make those decisions, especially when you got people like Lee, Johnson, that could be making all those tactical decisions or grand decisions. Davis would just put his beak in, and it's this whole weird fascination and obsession with Braxton Bragg as well. Imagine if Johnson had a bit more to do in the West. Be interesting to see. That could have changed a bit. He was a smart general, I think, Johnson. I think he understood the environment or the setting he was in when it comes to the Confederacy. Bull Run only happened because the Union 90-day enlistments were nearly up, and most of the men had 15-20 days. Davis was formerly part of the Defense Ministry, but only as a political man. I thought he served in the Mexican American War. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, you're right with Bull Run. All these enlistments running out, and then I think I'm right in thinking that Abraham Lincoln basically put the pressure on, saying, use this army before the enlistment runs up. So maybe that's where McDowell rushed into Bull Run, perhaps. Could have possibly made some better decisions, but who knows? It happened. It's not like they lost the war because of it. The Union, that is. going to finish painting these up because I'm not going to be painting these. I'm going to be doing my artillery crew. I just got a bit into this. So I'm going to give him a white t-shirt and then I'm just going to go in the black details now. He might have, I know prior to the Civil War, he was the Minister of Defence, whatever the US equivalent is, but he sent a lot of guns to the south in the months before Fort Sumter. Oh, I didn't realise. So he knew what was up. He was doing a bit of sneaky work. But yeah, I do wonder if he got a bit too much involved in the military workings of the Confederate Army. I mean, I know Abraham Lincoln took an interest in it, but I don't think he had like overall say. Whereas, yeah, you find Davis getting heavily involved in what generals he had where. I mean, I guess Lincoln did to a certain extent. Lincoln wanted results ultimately, didn't he? That's where his pressure came in. I think when he got the idea for the Emancipation Proclamation, I think once he had that in his head, that was what he wanted to do. He wanted this great, or I say, he wanted this Union victory to announce it. The rest is history. A little Confederate in his blue jacket. Also, I like Burnside because of the side burns. Very good. Yeah, Burnside was he was alright. Burnside's bridge and all. He also invented a gun. Yeah, very good, yeah. When talking about Lincoln, I always go back to his exchange with McClellan. If General McClellan's not using the army, might he borrow Lincoln borrow it for a while? Yeah. Again, McClellan was a funny one, you know. So much promise, but I think just struggled to act on it. I think you get that. Like I sympathise with McClellan. You know, he was a driller. Like he whipped the army into shape. The army was in a real good position during his reign as their general. But I think he loved it too much to the point where he didn't want to throw it into battle and get it mangled. And you like hear his accounts after the Battle of Antietam and how like devastated he was that, you know, his army was beat up so bad, and I think it really affected him. So it's just sad, really, because yeah, he was a very promising general early on. Just didn't want to see his army. You know, he come to really like the troops. You know, the troops loved him as well. Guess he just didn't want to throw him into the meat grinder, which is nice. If you were serving under him, it would be nice. But alas, Lincoln wasn't having it. As an Irishman, I have a legal obligation to hate inside. Ah. I think he was fairly competent. Also, with Fredericksburg, I don't like. He had a pretty good plan with Fredericksburg, and I feel like the reason why his plan didn't work was sort of out of his control. Like with the whole, he ordered a load of pontoon bridges, right, to cross the river to go into Fredericksburg. So you have, I think that's part of Burnside's Mud March or whatever they call it. So he was like locked and loaded, ready to go, and then these bridges don't turn up for like, I don't know, weeks and weeks. So then by the time he's ready, like all this hard work he did of getting the army up and going was just fell flat. Also, rather weirdly, I've looked at 3 Union generals so far, and they've all died at the age of 57 and not in the war. It took a toll on him, obviously. Burnside, although did want to lead a final charge up Mary's Heights, McClellan, I think, is the man who made the army that Meade and Grant used so successfully. Correct. Yeah, I think McClellan made the Army of the Potomac what it was. He just couldn't use it. And again, I think even Hooker. Hooker was a good general. I think what he lacked... Well, okay, mate, no. I think he was a good commander. Yeah, I think he was a good commander, not a good general. Yeah, going back to Burnside a minute, the pontoons. His failure was definitely due to the late arrival of the pontoons, says Thomas McConaughey. Yes, I agree. I think if the pontoons were there when he wanted them there, I think his plan was pretty sound. And he would have given Lee a run for his money. But it didn't happen. Hooker was good. Yeah, going back to this, Hooker was a good corps commander. Fighting Joe Hooker, for example, was his nickname. He was a very good corps commander. But when it came to the army, yeah, I think, is it the Battle of the Wilderness? Is it that battle where he basically got hit by an artillery shell and knocked unconscious? And then, like, none of his subordinates knew what to do. Because I feel like if he was a general leading an army, he needs to have measures in place that if anything happened to him, the army could continue to function. Whereas basically the Chancellorsville, Chancellorsville, was the battle. Yeah, so the army just kind of stunned for a bit whilst he was kind of coming back to consciousness. But yeah, Hooker as a corps commander, yeah. And Meade was a good army commander, I think, but I think it's just shadowed by the fact that Grant came in and followed the Army of the Potomac around. Meade was still the commander of the Army of the Potomac. It's just Grant sort of jumped in and kind of followed the army as in the campaign. So, but it was still Meade. Meade rocked up at Gettysburg, newly in command, and managed to salvage that. And again, I think Meade was a good corps commander as well. Again, you have that at Fredericksburg when he only really blundered at Fredericksburg because of lack of support from, I want to say, Burnside. Yeah, Meade only really got the command got to command the army for Gettysburg because shortly after Grant control. I think Grant controlled it, but from what I understand, Grant still made sure it was Meade commanding the army, but Meade was doing what Grant told him. But I don't think I don't think Grant came in and told Meade to take a back seat. I think he still allowed it to operate through the proper channels. But yeah, is this the right black? I don't remember. It's not. I'm going to put that black paint somewhere else because I don't like it. It's rubbish. Right, let's paint these binoculars black. I guess because we're doing an artillery stream, probably should have been talking about artillery generals. One springs to mind, Hunt. Springs to mind. I can't think who the Confederates had at Gettysburg. His name has slipped my mind. Grant's orders, Thomas says, Grant's orders always went to Meade and not to the individual commanders of the corps. Meade, therefore, was still in command, but more so in an administration. Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, through respect from Grant, I think it shows respect to Meade that he hasn't just turfed him out. Still Meade's army. You know, he took that position fair and square. I say he took it, he was given it by Lincoln. I always find it funny with Meade when the story of when he got given the army. So, like, I don't know, some sort of, I don't know who it was. Don't know if it was I don't know, some high rank come in to request to see Meade, and like at the time, he thought he was under arrest or something like that. He thought he was being court-martialed. Porter, thank you. Colonel Edward Alexander Porter was the artillery officer at Command in Gettysburg. Thank you. I forgot that. Yeah, so like when Meade was given the promotion, he actually thought he was being court-martialed at the time. But instead he was given a letter saying you're now in command of the Army of the Potomac, because I find that funny. So Alexander Porter, he was commander at artillery. But I can't remember, there was some Confederate at the time or shortly after was saying how they wish they had a Hunt in the Confederacy. So the Hunt was he the chief artillery officer in the Army of Potomac, and he was very, very good. Like what he did, and they were saying they wish they had him in the Confederacy or someone like of his caliber. Thought it was good though. We were talking about earlier on in the stream about the Confederate artillery barrage before Pickett's charge, just how it never really did what they wanted. I think that was down to ammunition more than anything. That gun black. Voila. Can't believe I didn't think of remember Porter. That's terrible. That's how my American Civil War knowledge has just dwindled because I've not been hobbying in such a long time. Right. Let's paint these gun barrels again. Actually, no, I don't need to do them ones because they're going to be dry brushed. I just don't like that Abaddon black from Citadel. It goes a bit gritty. Do you know, like when you have cheap... I used to have like cheap black jeans when I was growing up. And you'd wash them, and after a while, the black dye would run out, and they'd just go like a shade of really dark green. It's like that. This is what this is given. And it looks rubbish. Tell you what, let's put that down anyway. Okay. My ancestor was an artillery major. He served in the British 17th Hussars, went to America, served under Stonewall Jackson in Mexico, formed the Irish Brigade Batteries in New York, died in 1863. Did he die during battle or injured from a battle, or was it just coincidence he died during the Mexican War? Quite cool family history. Tell you what, I'm giving my main officer a red shirt. He's got a bit of shirt poking out of his waistcoat. I'm gonna make it red. It's either that or it's gonna be it's gonna be white. Make it red. Right. I'll need to go in with a gold detailing. Died of disease. Okay, yeah. Yeah, again, American Civil War is like one of those interesting ones where so many more people died from illness than combat deaths. It's just sad. I find it a bit, talking about British history, if you look into like the Battle of Rorke's Drift, for example, so many people in that battle like just died on campaign due to disease, and you think they were what they'd been through during that battle. It's quite impressive. Yeah, they just died. And it's kind of sad. Like some of these people, well, as you say, all of these people are heroes. They don't get to. Yeah, they just end up dying from disease. It's always sad. Maybe this sergeant's just holding his officer's sword for now, who knows? Serving on General Omega's staff. Oh, wow. Impressive then. I don't think I've got any ties to the American Civil War, to be honest. My mum did my family tree a few years back, and can't say there's anything special there, I'm afraid. But I guess with the American Civil War, when you're in America and you've been of descent, and like, you know, your family's been in America for a good few years, the American Civil War affected so much of the population that, yeah, I think you'd struggle to find an American who wasn't somehow actively involved at the time. So yeah, this is why a lot of Americans I talk to have relations involved with the American Civil War. Right, this guy's really coming together now. Look at him. Tell you what, let me do this. Because I can whap, 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 whap. There you go. You might be able to see that better now. Just started the gold detailing on the sergeant with the sword. Voila! So apart from highlighting that gold, it's ready to go. Nice. I like them. I've done mine a few years ago. I have an ancestry in the Scottish Jacobites, the Irish rebels against Elizabeth I, and Piper at Waterloo. Oh, cool. Ah, so a lot of military background. I think I had a relative in World War One. That was about it. So yeah. Right. Let's get. I've got to do some. I don't really want to paint this. I don't really want to paint this colour, but hang on. Let's just get on with it. Again, I should have painted these ages ago, because then I could have had my guns based up by now. But alas. I think if I get the paint on these, and then hopefully by next stream, or in between now and next stream, I'll have them based up, and we can because we only got about 10 minutes left of the stream. I do paint these gun screws. They're meant to be brass. I should be painting them brass, but I'm not going to today. For no reason apart from speed. That's where the little thingy sits. The aiming, I'm going to call it an aiming rod, because I don't actually know what it's called. It's what you like pick the back of the gun up with and move it. It kind of slots on the carriage here, which is cool. Most painting the bum bit is painting the wheels. What takes the most amount of time? I find. But it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Kind of the end is in sight now for this project, which is a mini project, which is nice. Actually, the end is not in sight because I've got another 7 crew to paint out. But the first chunk of crew's done. Actually, I'm about halfway, if you think about it. Which isn't bad either. Halfway to getting the artillery finished. And that is a lot of my artillery done. In fact, actually all of it, thinking about it. I've got a few of my siege guns that I need painting up, but I don't think I have any. I got a few more crew, but I don't think I can make a firing team out of it. And then that leaves, yeah, and I actually haven't got any guns. So unless I print some 3D print some guns off, which is another good thing about Studio Story, is that I've got the potential to 3D print guns, not necessarily crew. So I'd like some big siege guns at some point. They would be cool. Yeah, it's nothing fancy with these guns. I'll just do a lead belcher on the metal parts, and then I'll come in with a null wash and just hit it. Just to bring that shine down. Oh, I've missed that bit softly. Oh, I've missed that bit as well. Not done that cap. Oh no, I have. Well done. Yeah, so we're almost there. Then I'll just glue them down. On the bases. Yeah, that'd be a nice chunk of miniatures painted. Got them off the paint pile. And then probably I've got a lot of infantry, and then I've got a lot of generals. I was looking ages ago at rebasing all my generals. Put them on a bit more bigger bases just so I can do something a bit more fancier with them. So yeah, I'm at that point still. So I think General Lee and Meade is going to be my main commanders to start with, and then I'll just start fleshing out all my others. So Longstreet and Gibbons. I think I'll yep, there we go. Be nice to do when I've said it before, when if we can get the channel back on this monetization thing that I ballsed up a while back, if we can get that back on, it'd be cool to purchase some units going forward, and kind of do that at a via the channel, and you guys can recommend what units you want me to build up, and then I can go and get those. For example, earlier on talking about 79th Highlanders, you can buy them, so I could pick them up. Or, yeah, just kind of expand the collection that way, which would be cool. Have a bit more of a viewer input into it, which would be nice. Get all these guns printed. Ah. Yeah, I think if I could choose my next unit to go out and buy, I think I just want to get the Fire Zouars. Just because I've been after them for years. Perry's does a nice set. Just go and pick them up. Don't mess that up. It's a bit messy. Yeah, he's going to come together. Really come together when I get the crew on the base with him. Just got to get that. Ooh. I'm not painting the bottom of the wheels on this purely because you don't see it on the table. I'm just painting all the metal details there. So it is quite shiny at the moment. I'll come in and hit it with a known wash, and that'll just bring it back down again. And then do that. Whether we put a couple more guns of the Rockridge artillery, I don't know. That'd be actually something nice to get as well. I've done a couple of the metal Perry artillery sets, and they're They're really nice to have. Some really nice poses. So again, if you're collecting something, it's nice to have that. Just realised I've not painted this gun carriage up properly, so I have to redo that. Ah. We're almost there at least. I think I'll get the last two guns done, painted, or at least put this metallic on, and then I'll end the stream there. But again, we got slightly distracted on the stream by painting up a HQ unit rather than in the guns that we're going to be painting. That's fine. Again, I got this all these metal sculpts, and some of them are just really nice, so it seems a shame to just have them sat there. So, and everything's got to go, right? Everything's got to be painted. So either do it now or do it later. And I think, yeah, that's the next point with my collection, is just getting a load of HQ units down. Because they're, even if they're purely cosmetic, it's nice to have those little units dotted about. Right. What are we at? Oh, 5 past 10. Come on. It's a little bit, so it can take a while. Just realised this gun wheels are very wonky. Should have flattened it out. I don't know if you can see it. So. It's egg shaped. All right. I can't actually see because they're all lined up just above my camera, but 5 guns. Getting somewhere. I think yeah, with the Studio Historia 3D printing, I'll get maybe some big siege guns at some point. That'd be nice to do. One day I'll do my fort, what I want to do. Have some big guns on there. All right. All right. Did I paint out the rock ridge quickly? I got it in me, I don't think. Yeah, I saw it. Let's do it. Is it later in the night? Yeah. Just rattle through. Really cool part of the film actually on Gods and Generals when they wheel out the. So how many more do I have to paint in relation to what? Right. Into tonight or in the collection? As tonight I've got technically we're still working on our 6 guns, which are almost at completion. But as in the artillery collection, we have another 7 guns. Sorry, 6 guns that need painting. So yeah, we're about to finish 6, and we've got another 6 that need painting. Yeah. Got the numbers wrong there, but that's right. But again, then it kind of no minis in the so the entirety of my ACW collection. I've got a lot. I don't know, probably 300-400 minis that need painting on in the rest of the collection, like between the infantry, cavalry, officers, and whatnot. But yeah, just for tonight, or just for my like mini project, which is the artillery. Yeah, it's not much. I think I'm going to try do some more artillery HQ bases as well. Which will use up a few spare minis as well. Right, that's one the Rockridge gun. I mean, the red. That's a lot of live streams, yeah. I mean, that's the plan. That is the plan, just to live stream my way through it all. Because they all need to go. They all need to be painted. So yeah. We'll just do it one live stream at a time. Until I potentially buy more. Which probably won't happen. Probably. But I'm really enjoying painting these at the moment, so which that definitely helps. It's not a chore. I'm enjoying it. Even if I miss painting certain bits and I've got to redo it. And I said, like, at the start of this live stream journey 2-ish weeks ago, I want to get back into painting. I want that dopamine hit of completing painting challenges or painting models, units. And I think the easiest way to, or more achievable way to do that is painting some artillery, because they're smaller units, they look good, I can get through more. Yeah, it just gives me that satisfying that is more likely. I hope that's not a relation to or a comment on my buying more miniatures, because problem is there's so much good stuff out there. I definitely want to, like, there's some really nice Perry miniatures artillery pieces out there. I'd love to get some of them. So yeah, but right, let's show what we painted. Now, yes, the guns aren't completed. They need known oil on the metallics, and then the Napoleons will be dry brushed with like a bronzy gold, which will just make them look a bit coppery. But we've got these guys, and these two red guns. Lord of the Rings painting live stream, maybe. I keep promising to Ben that I'll paint up my Gondorians, because he's working on a Minas Tirith terrain at the moment, so yeah, maybe. Yeah. Here we are. Baba, this is what we've done tonight. Which is painting up some crew. I actually need to finish these. They just need some null on the metallics and then bring the metallics back up. But that's a little command base for the Confederates, which is nice. And then, yeah, 6 guns. And yeah, some more Confederate crew back here that needs painting up. But yeah, we'll get to that. Nice. Okay. It is all progress. We're one step closer. And yeah, we've, going back to last week's, you know, I put this down here comfortably. Of course not. All this back here. So that is, yeah, 6 crew and a HQ stand. So in the past 3 weeks, I think that's pretty good. For 3 weeks' work, we've got 6 artillery pieces done, and 2 HQ stands. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. So yeah, I think next stream. Oh, what have I done? Next stream we'll get the crew painted, the crew based. Sorry, the pieces based, and then it's working through some more artillery, and that's probably where these guys are going to come in. So I'll finish off this Rock Ridge artillery, and then I've got those Perry miniatures, so another 4 guns. Yeah, I've got another 4 guns. That's the point. Why have I got so much? I've got so many artillery pieces, just not many guns. Not many crew. Anyway, so I've got yeah, I've got 4 more crew, and 10 more guns. So if I find more crew, I've got 10 more guns to fill. But I think I've out of my other crew, so I've got some of the Rock Ridge here. Let's put this one aside. We'll do a quick debrief and lots to come. So that's all done. So today we've painted a Union Parrot rifle, a Union, more or less a Union Napoleon, 2 Confederate Parrots, and a Confederate Napoleon, I think. So what's left? What are we going to do? So you painted 1 figure during this podcast. Ah, good. What did you paint? So we've got this here. So there is 5, 2 lots of 5 and 3 gun crews of 5 and 1 gun crew of 1. So that's what I've got left, assembled and painted. So out of that, I think we'll have 2 Confederate howitzers, and then maybe just a couple of Parrot rifles or some 3-inch ordnance for the Union. Maybe some 3-inch ordnance. I've got some really cool breech loading guns, actually. There's a special name to them, and I can't remember. But here it is, modelled up. Just a little breech loader gun, which I think both sides had some at some point. Yeah, I'll probably do them up at some point. But they'll use obviously different crew because they won't have a loader at the front because it's just breech loaded. But yeah, that's gonna be soon. Next week probably. But for now, really the red looks nice actually. Really like the red. Yeah, I'm gonna end it there. Ba-bum. See my face. Thank you for everyone checking the stream out. We're getting there. We're gonna get this crew done. This crew will be done. We'll have 6 guns as of next week once they're all based up. And then it'll be on to the others. And then maybe we'll have a look at something else, whether it be infantry or cavalry. Maybe we'll do some assembling streams rather than painting, because I've got some I've got a box of Union cavalry. I've got a box of American Civil War cavalry just sat there. So, but yeah, thanks everyone for coming by, and thank you for making it to the end. Those of you on YouTube, if you made it this far, why? No, I'm joking. Thank you so much for sitting through this. And next stream will be next Sunday coming at 8 PM. I'll try put another short up again just to alert everyone. But yeah, it'll be every Sunday going forward now from 8 PM unless something crops up, and I'll let you know. So good night. Night.